Hello, my name is Jeff Philby, and I'm a trainer at Provek, and I'd like to welcome you to the second in our series of webinars on AI in project management. This is where we discuss key topics aligned to our training course, the AI-driven project manager. This webinar takes on some interesting topics, namely what's changed, what's next, and what's at stake. And I'd like to thank you all for being here. There is a lot of you out there, and we've had a huge response to today's event. This webinar is being recorded, and a link will be sent to all of you afterwards. Additionally, we will be adding the recording to our website, provek.co.uk. Due to the size of the audience, we won't be able to take questions during the event, but please feel free to contact us with any questions afterwards, and we'll direct them to the right people. Turning our attention now to today's topic, we're going to be exploring the second global survey on AI and project management. And this comes from September 2025, so a recent survey. This survey is a follow-up to a previous survey conducted in 2023, and we'll be diving into how attitudes of business leaders have changed in this very short amount of time. This survey and their subsequent reports that came from it were created and launched by two partners, colleagues, and friends of Provek, two individuals who supported and advocated for us to become the first UK provider for the AI-driven project manager masterclass. We have Antonio Nieto-Rodriguez, and he is a Thinker 500 award winner, 50 award winner, keynote speaker and author of Harvard Business Review and the PM Handbook. Welcome, Antonio. And we have Ricardo Vargas, former chair of the Project Management Institute and pioneer in the application of AI in project management. So welcome to both of you. As an opening questions and kind of it as an introduction, give a little context around the survey itself for our viewers. What inspired you to start your journey as advocates and educators for AI in project management? And I'll start with Antonio.
Sure. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, we've been working for at least almost 2 years on this topic, 1.5 years. So Ricardo and I, we know each other for a long time. We always wanted to do something together. We never found the time or the idea. And somehow when AI started to show a bit in the news, I thought that was the moment. And Ricardo already had work on AI. And it was the right timing. And I think we both share the passion of researching, of understanding how the world changes and moves, how it affects project management, project managers, the profession that we love. And so it was very easy. I think we just connected and we said, yeah, let's go, let's do it.
And if we talk a little bit about the survey itself, so it connects very well, I think, to being an advocator and an educator. So you're trying to understand your audience, you're trying to get information, and of course, understand the trends and where it's going. The logistics are very impressive. So on the 2025 survey, we had 870 project professionals from 97 countries. How were these individuals chosen?
Yeah, the survey is open in our community. So both Antonio and I, we have a very strong community of practitioners and people interested in the field. We have a specific mailing list of people related to AI in project management. So we invited these people to share their opinion. And what we wanted this time is to see what were the changes between 2023 and now. Okay, and what you said just 2 years, but 2 years in an AI environment, it's like 200 years. Imagine what happened in the past 2 years in terms of evolution, tools, the quality of the results, the improvements, and this is what we wanted, because we have not a concern, but we have a desire to bring everybody together when we talk about AI. And we don't want people to become, I would say, a victim of not being able to empower themselves by the using AI in their projects.
Kind of part of that evolution and changing attitudes was an element that I thought was in the executive summary that I picked up immediately, and I'll just quote it. It says, the overall sentiment is cautious optimism. So 68% of respondents were optimistic about the future of project management in AI. And I think when AI first came out, that definitely was not the case. So I think some in the message is resonating in people's heads. Can you explain what parts of the survey that you feel demonstrates that cautious optimism? What did you see in it that shows that cautious optimism?
Let me jump on this one. So basically, we were very pleased with this fact. I think one of the nicest highlights of the survey, because it's very much aligned with Ricardo and my mission on setting up AI PM. So we both are big believers that AI, it must become integral part of project management and for the toolbox of any project manager. So when we launched this 2 years ago, people were afraid. They didn't know. The level of knowledge about AI was not high, which is understandable, but people were skeptical. And what we've seen over the last 2 years is that people are using it. So that's where I think that's what we see is people are comfortable with ChatGPT. Doesn't mean that they're using it for work and for projects at work. There's still a big barrier there, but people at home with their phones, they're learning to get more familiar with AI. And so that's, I think, part of our mission. And we were very pleased to see that happening. It's just us, but I think there's many people working, including Provek as well, right? But it's a sign that we're in the good direction.
Yeah, and it really validates it. 870 survey people coming back and 68 of them being optimistic. And I like the word cautiously because it's new technology. There's always got to be that healthy amount of cautious in it. And speaking of that cautious optimism, one of the quotes I picked up I thought was really interesting. It was one of the leaders that was quoted in the report. AI doesn't take away leadership, but it changes what leadership looks like in 2025 and beyond. So this idea that AI can't replace human thinking, we still need leadership. But leadership is changing. And to you at this point in time, how would you describe leadership now today in this new world of AI?
Yeah, I can take this one. This is a great question because what we see is that AI is being able to do a lot of the operational side of project management, like preparing schedule, like preparing reports, etc. But there is a layer where I always say, not yet, okay? It's not able yet to do is this human component, okay? I'm even working, I had an article about artificial emotional intelligence and talking about the desire of AI to fulfill this. And this is empathy, leadership, this curiosity. These type of behaviors are intrinsically human. And leadership is different now, is becoming different now because the world is becoming far more volatile. Things are becoming much faster, that the leader needs to really inspire and move the team forward. I would say in pace is very critical that we are seeing, because when I said to you that 2 years look like 200 years, pace is very critical. If you do not lead in a way that you can make people move fast to follow this pace, people will just start falling behind. People imagine I don't want to use like a race, but you're running, and if people cannot keep the pace, people can just start falling behind. And the leadership now is to bring everybody together. So this is why these human skills are at the center. This is every time that I talk about AI in project management, I would say invest time, effort on improving these human skills, because these human skills will be the center of the future of what project management is about.
Yeah, on that topic, which was quite interesting, one of the challenges that's cited in your report, 62% of the respondents cited that individuals need exactly what you're saying, adoption of skills. But the report tells us that 10% of PMs are formally trained on AI at this time. There's a good quote from one of the PMO directors. My team uses AI daily, but none of them have been trained. So I think the consequences of that are clear. You get dropped by the pack. It's very, very hard to bridge that gap once you sort of fall behind. What advice would you give to people who are looking for training? They don't want to be part of that 90% that at this point in time don't have formal training. And why would you advocate for formal training over just trial and error and poking around at it and doing it on your own?
Yeah, so I think I would say it's even less than 10% of at least the project management community, the one we know. I think it's much larger. So we just started to scratch a bit the surface. There's always about 1 or 2% of our community who are looking to learn new things. And so I think we're seeing that. I think there's the 10% mentioned there, maybe it's just they follow some tutorial videos or but formal training, I believe there is still a very, very big need. When we talk to corporate clients, they are all aware of the need of kind of AI skills, but they always struggle. They don't go as fast as we think. There are some internal challenges that companies are facing when talking about AI for their own internal projects. So what we encourage always people that follow us is, if you cannot use it at work, use it at home. But be sure that you learn, because I don't know if it will be 6 months, 12 months, but for every job descriptions open on a project PMO role, there will be a very strong requirement which says conversant or being able to use AI in your projects. It's like today we look PMPs or Prince 2s, or I think even more important in some cases, we'll see you need to understand how to use AI and combine it by working with people too.
Let me just add to that. Formal, of course, I'm a big fan of formal education and learning, and it just speed up the process. It just speed up. Instead of you, trying to, try and error in this, that is a valid point for you to use as a learning tool. But, time is at this sense. So what I want to do, I want to find ways of quickly get on the road, and the formal training helps us. For example, when we created the masterclass and the certification, we wanted exactly this. So try to fast track that. In a couple of hours, like the masterclass, you can go, I would say, from zero, from a starting point up to a very decent point where you can then move forward. So this is my view, is just to speed up your process.
Interesting.
And speed at the sense now.
And along the same lines, another barrier that came through very much, and this one surprised me quite a bit, is that technological concerns appear to be decreasing, but cultural and ethical issues are rising as a concern about AI. What cultural and ethical concerns specifically are people concerned with AI?
Yeah, I can take this one.
Go,
First, on the cultural side, it's, will AI replace my job? Okay, this is the cultural, because people see people are reducing the fear on the technology itself, but the technology is surprising all of us because it's becoming really good. It's becoming really good. Okay, when you use, for example, ChatGPT, Notebook LM, or Manus, or any of these tools, the results are very reasonable, much better than they used to be 2 years ago. So the technological side is not very big. But what people are on the cultural side, it's, they see, for example, Amazon announced that they will lay off 30,000 people due to the AI. They announced this the day before yesterday. And then people get scared, and it's normal. So these cultural aspects, this cultural barrier of, I would not promote AI very much in my work environment, because in some ways AI may replace me in the future. And the ethical side, it's because AI you need to understand that AI is a machine process. We talk about intelligence, but it's not. It's just a mathematical, very powerful mathematical model that gives you the results. And you need to understand that there is a boundary of ethics, and what is right, what is wrong to do, because maybe AI will provide you a suggestion in a project that is technically acceptable, but it's not morally acceptable. About, for example, resource allocation and this. So these concerns about the ethical use of AI and how AI, for example, will use ethics and judgment, for example, to not create any discrimination, for example, in the hiring process. If AI is an avatar interviewing people, like, for example, in Harvey, for example, how to avoid that? This is where most of the concern. But I hear most of the questions I hear is about, will I lose my job as a project coordinator or as a planner because of AI? And my answer is no. I'm not thinking this way, but I think your role will change dramatically. The role will change dramatically. We need to shift the way we think projects, because most of these tasks that we are currently doing will be done in the future by AI.
That's another key point I think that came out from this report is it highlights a shift in the way that PM's role is and the way that AI is part of that role. So I think when AI first came out, I know as a project manager working away, I could ask it questions and it would give me some insights. But the shift seems to be going away from that, though that will always be there as part of AI, into being able to handle repetitive, lower value work, which frees up project managers' time. So they're getting support. It's almost like having a project management office to help them with their day-to-day work. So these repetitive tasks and low value work are being taken out. So time doesn't like a vacuum. It has to be filled. What should the PM be doing with this extra time that we now have on our hands?
I want to just briefly comment on a topic on ethics too.
Yeah, please.
And I go to that answer. I think many of us read that a big four accounting firm in Australia, they used ChatGPT or one of the GPTs for producing a report for the public sector, and it was still with wrongs and quotes, and they charge big amount of money for that. So it's also a lesson learned there. You can use these AI tools, but you need to be always honest on how you use it. Both I teach a lot in business schools, and yeah, students are using AI. Obviously, can you block them? No, but can you tell them how to use it while still contributing with their knowledge? So there's an interesting discussion on those aspects on ethics. And on the point on AI and the job that we do in project management, we always do in our masterclass one very simple exercise. We say, put in a list all the things that you hate to do in your job.
Yeah.
And about 90% of the things that people hate to do, including Ricardo and myself, it is going to be, and it's being done already by AI. Maybe not in a consolidated matter. You need to use different tools. That's what we see in the masterclass. You're delivering that as well in the UK with Provek. So it's just good, right? Why should not just let everyone take care of all the things that you don't like to do, like following people, reporting, dashboards, and risk management, and so on. So I think that when people switch their mindset and see this is actually for giving them more time, obviously they start using it.
Yeah, fully agreed. I think one of the real areas of value is it can find your pain points, for example, in a schedule where you've over allocated a resource. That's very, very hard to find manually. But if you can ask some queries and questions, and it can go through your schedule and start looking at where you've overworked someone. And I think that comes out in the survey as well, because 32% of respondents cite reduced burnout as a key benefit. And I think we've got this idea that AI is going to be driving us and pushing us, but over a third of respondents had thought that burnout is going to be going down. And that could be surprising to a lot, I think, because AI presents a lot of uncertainty. So I was just going to ask around, what is it about AI do you think that is helping with this burnout? Is it because it's taking away repetitive tasks? Is it because we're doing things that are more fulfilling, like leadership? What do you think is contributing to this reduction in stress, for lack of a better way of putting it?
Do you want me to take this one,
Oh,
Antonio?
Ricardo, yeah.
Okay, so for you to think on this matter of burnout, it's you have an assistant that is working for you 24 hours a day as needed. It's so, for example, if you're preparing a document, a formal contract or something like that, you can go on Notebook LM, for example, upload the contract, upload everything, and craft the letter in a fraction of the time that you would spend. And you don't need to worry if the English is proper written and this, because it will be always grammatically right in, I would say, in most of the sense. So for someone that is a non-English native speaker like myself, it helps a lot. So instead of spending 3 hours doing that, I spend 1, and these reduce burnout. It makes your life much, much easier. For example, when you are doing a research, when you are trying to develop, for example, the WBS chart of your project, why not starting by brainstorming with AI? I'm not saying that AI will do that exactly as you want, but why not, instead of starting from a blank piece of paper? You know, why not? And this is why the burnout is reduced. Of course, if you understand that AI will not take your job, because then the burnout will increase, because you, with the fear, you will feel, I would say, afraid of using the AI, because at some point people may think that, so you are not needed anymore. AI can do everything. But AI, for me, Jeff, I use AI, I would say 7 hours a day. Yeah. For example,
Wow.
today I did, it's not only ChatGPT, okay? I use several tools. It's like a Swiss Army knife, when I need. And these, of course, reduce my stress, the overload, because I can do much more and much faster.
And that 7 hours, is that 100% on the job? And part
No,
of that is,
it's for example, if
yeah.
I'm answering emails, I'm using some agents to help me to screen through the emails. So I'm using AI for that. If I'm writing an email, I use AI to check if the grammar is right. So when I write, for example, I don't need to carry about too much the grammar, because it's fixed everything almost automatically. If I need to do a research, I go quickly, like this morning, I go quickly on Notebook LM, upload the files very drop my question, get the result, and it's done. And for example, if it's not a very complex thing, I don't need to read in details every single aspect, for example, of a resource. I was preparing a class I will give tomorrow in Milan, and I did that. For example, I wanted to go on a specific process of this client, and I did that on Notebook LM. I did a quick research there. So it's much faster than doing this on Google, for example.
And it's amazing how it can do it with videos. So you might have a 2-hour video with a strap line like how to make £1 million, and you just ask it, okay, how do I make £1 million? And you don't have to watch any of the rest of it. It will actually speed through the video and find that. And when you think about a practical use for that in the workplace, where there's long meetings and you've had them recorded on Plod, you could ask the key elements of it and it will summarize that. And then, of course, that's going to reduce the burnout. Wouldn't mind getting some tips from you, if that's okay. One of the key items in the report as well is that the future is co-pilot. So the future means that we're going to get an assistance. So we talked a little bit about it, but what other ways would you tell a new PM, someone who's new to AI, they want to get involved with using a co-pilot? What would you say to them about prompts, uses of it, things to be careful of? How could a PM effectively use co-pilot? We talked about brainstorming. That is an excellent one for risk identification, requirements gathering, etc.
There is I think there's the tools you need to choose, because there's tools coming up every day. So, and if you just use them a bit, you just scratch the surface. So what we do in our masterclass is we deep dive in a few of them. Ricardo mentioned Notebook LM. Of course, we use ChatGPT and the Perplexity Gemini. This is for for all this prompting, and now soon will we have agents like Manos. So it's really good to focus on a few ones that you start to understand, and go further than just the prompting and brainstorming. Of course, Notebook LN is great for confidentiality. Is the one of the few ones that they keep your information secure. So we advocate for that. One thing that I like a lot is to go into a field that I'm not familiar of, which is coding. So all these tools can tell you the code and the scripts for. We show, of course, Lovable as an amazing tool for creating your own dashboard for your project and being able to publish it. So I think for me, there's no limits. The limits are in your head. If you're afraid of coding, try it. I show in the masterclass how to create a survey of 20 questions, multiple choice, put it in a Google form. That might take 3-4 hours in just 3 minutes or 2, just by getting the code and copy pasting. And that's the tip of the iceberg. Imagine all of you can create whatever you want program to run with your project, and adding some agents. And I think we will be able to do projects maybe 1/2 or 3 times faster than we do, and focus on other things. So we're just exploring. One of the big focus on our masterclass is changing this mindset, right? So not about being afraid, it's about you exploring. We can give you guidance, but you actually need to learn by trying, by experimenting, by getting mistakes from these systems, and try again and solve them. So it's very, very important to have that mindset.
Interesting. And kind of turning a little bit, slight pivot into business performance. There are some interesting numbers around hard benefits from this. So in this report, it cites that half of the participants saw cost reduction as a very impressive 25% reduction in cost, ROI of 250K or greater. So the way you quote it in the report, I think, is quite interesting. A move from experimental hype to measurable value. So if you were going to cite the number one reason where that value is coming from, where is that ROI coming from? What would you cite as like the main cause? Are we going to do like a Pareto analysis as to the top one that's bringing in that over 250K of ROI, cost reduction of 25%?
Yeah, I can start on this one, and I can say easily that it's first reduction of rework, because instead of you doing 3 times one thing, you can do, I would say, 1. And also I always say between 0 and 100% of getting the task done, a big chunk of this is AI doing, and AI does this at a different speed. Okay, different speed. As Antonio said, instead of spending 3 hours, you spend 3 minutes doing that. So this reduction allows you to do more projects, deliver more with the same amount of resources you have now, powered by AI and co-pilot by AI. So this is, for me, are the main. And second aspect is AI not only on improving the efficiency of project management, but also improving the benefits of the project. So it gives you a full niche of different projects, AI projects, that will improve your company's performance. For example, like help desk, the benefit of help desk, if you use AI agents to improve the quality of your help desk, or for example, marketing or sales funnel and things like that. So it's AI on 2 sides, AI helping you with the efficiency side, and AI helping you to do projects that involve AI and have a higher benefit.
Interesting. Antonio, I know it's kind of near and dear to your heart because we've seen the videos of it, but I think portfolio management might have a play here as well. So doing the right projects, selecting the correct ones would be contributing to that. Did you want to speak to some of the things that you've seen and the ability to choose the right projects and avoid doing the risky ones, the ones that could be damaging and presenting disbenefits to an organization?
Yeah, yeah, this is a topic that we are very passionate. We have a small AI tool that Ricardo and I were thinking of expanding, but definitely I think one of the biggest reasons why projects fail is because they're chosen badly, or there's way too much capacity already taken. There's no, and I think the topic of prioritization, I think for me is fascinating. Can you prioritize 1,000 projects using traditional methods? Impossible. So there is no other way to prioritize correctly. We all know why projects fail. There's lots of research. So why you don't include that into a machine learning algorithm that we did? And it helps you. It ranks the projects. It tells you based on these criteria, the chances of failure are very high. So don't launch that project, stop that project, fix it. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to see a lot of benefits, the decisions around which projects we're doing, which project should be stopped, which project should be launched, when. I think that the portfolio side is where the biggest impact we'll see, at least on value side.
And I thought it was very interesting that this was the first report where you had some hard numbers. So
Yeah.
in the short amount of time, as Ricardo had said, it was only 2023 that you had the first report. Second one comes out in 2025, and now we all of a sudden we have 250K ROI, some measurable quantified benefits. It's really, really interesting stuff. Sorry, Ricardo, you were going to say?
No, I just want to say that in the masterclass, I do one example of portfolio management with 15 projects to analyze and select the best ones. It took me, what, 2 minutes, maybe than that, using the thinking process of OpenAI, the former O3, OpenAI O3, that is now GPT-5, doing that. And this is amazing. Okay, amazing. I'm not saying that you will get these result and implement it without thinking, because of course you need to have the human in the loop. But instead of spending a week analyzing data, you spend 2 minutes. Different. This brings a lot of power for your decision. It's much faster.
Yeah. And anyone who's ever been on a project that should never have been launched, then you have to try to save that project or cancel it, and the effect on it. If you're doing the right projects, it just absolutely has this massive effect on the bottom line. And I think you're absolutely right. It is a huge area of benefit. So as kind of a summary question, because we saw that we had a survey in 2023, we had a survey in 2025. What advice would you be giving a project manager now that might be different today than previously? What was some of the big changes that you saw that you think they should take that on board and incorporate that in their development and thinking?
I can start.
You start
and link to what you were just commenting, and we're going to launch a subsection of the survey about what are the success stories. So where are coming from? So we have that already identified, 10 top cases. But for me, I think what has changed is that now we have evidence that there are benefits. So before we were assuming that there would be benefits because we saw it in our day-to-day, but now we can talk also about business, organizational, financial value, not just personal on time, but also for the organization. So I think as a project manager, we just see it more clear. You need to ask for this within your company. If you're going to launch a project, say that you want to use AI, that there's so much benefits for that. So getting that acceptance from organizations to make it like we used to have Excels and MS Project. Now it should be like almost mandatory for every project to use AI.
Yeah, and I want to add on what you said. What I would say different is in 2023, we're saying, look, there is something cool and interesting that you should take an advantage on. And now I'm saying, look, there is something that is already here. Pay attention, because if you are not in, you will be out, completely out. And it's a different one thing. It's AI can be helpful and empower you. That's great. Now I would say it's imperative to use AI. Jeff, you did an amazing work. We saw another day with Asana and projects and this. You are not even using AI to correct or to improve your project. You are using AI to create your plan, to create the tasks, to create everything. And you know that, Jeff. So imagine the time and the precision you can get by using this. So this is a massive shift, because in 2023, we didn't have that.
No.
We had all ChatGPT. So imagine in 2027, what we may have.
The evolution is extraordinary. I mean, we went from spreadsheets to SharePoint, and then Asana and Monday.com came out, but then all of a sudden the little AI icon appeared. And now I can find the things that are hiding in my projects, the risky things, the things where there's resources that can't do the exact same thing at the same time. And that's giving me insights, driving much better decision-making, putting me in the driver's seat just by having those insights that I'd never find on my own. I could look all day for resource allocation issues and probably not see them on my best day, whereas AI finds them in a nanosecond. So it is really, really incredible. Final question for you both. What's filling up your diaries in the coming months? What are we up to? What exciting things are happening? I'll start with Antonio.
Do you want to start, Antonio?
Yeah, start.
I understand you have a book coming out.
I start. Okay, yeah. So yeah, the most exciting for me, it has been very important to get recognition from Harvard Business Review on the profession, on the work we do. In fact, this initiative, one of the starting point was an article Ricardo and I wrote for HBR, how I will transform project management. And my second book is coming out in January. There's going to be a big webinar. I'm sure to make sure to give you everybody welcome there. Yeah, and it's just exciting to publish new books, and this one hopefully gets some impact. I'm talking in this book. It's in my first HBR book was Everybody's a Project Manager, but probably you don't know it. So here's the guide. The second one is every organization is project driven, not so much operations driven anymore. And here's how you can become a leader and become a project-driven organization. So that's the most exciting, of course, masterclass with Ricardo, not just the one we do, but for other clients. And that initiative, it's very strategic for us. So we keep pushing to bring new partners and reach more people. So that's the two highlights.
Well, we look forward to the book, Powered by Projects, Leading Your Organization in the Transformation Age. And that's coming out on the Harvard Business Review. So looking forward to all of that. And Ricardo.
Yeah, no, for me, I'm very exciting moments. I'm traveling a lot. So I'm going now to the PMI symposium, to the conference of PMI. I just released it. I'm passionate about a topic that is not very much related to AI. It's about trouble projects because of with the UN and this. So I just released it both in English and in Portuguese, a new LinkedIn course on trouble projects and a crash course. And how do you identify the problem? How do you handle when it's the best way to just kill the project, and just stop your losses, and how to recover the project. This is a topic that I'm working a lot. I do a lot of consulting on this field also. So this is what I have on the agenda, and I will be releasing by next week. This is the first time I'm telling this.
Okay, you heard it here.
A course that is very much related to the topic Antonio just said. It's about project management for executives. So it's a course that will be released by next week about giving awareness to the executives, the world of projects, because executives are still thinking that we are only talking about operations, business as usual, and the world is different. And they don't have the knowledge of that, but they are the ones signing off, the projects. And this is why, for example, we are having so much trouble to deliver the projects. So this is my two things, and a lot of travel too. Yeah.
It is an interesting point on the executive role on a project. There has been a few times in my career we've had a sponsor, but they didn't understand what the sponsor's role actually was and how they own the business case, and they were managing by exception, etc. And then the strategic element is an interesting one, and the overarching strategy of the organization and how it links up. So as an executive, that the project is the catalyst for bridging that gap, for making that sort of change. So that's the kind of thing that course is going into.
Yes, yes, yes. This is the idea, but the idea is also to explain what is. It's like, because for executives, the project is like a black box that you put what you want and you expect on the other side to deliver what you want. But it's just to give an overview. Of course, not talking about tools and this, but to give an overview. What we are talking about, what is happening inside that, why schedule is so important, why the decisions you make earlier are so important for the result. So this is the idea of the course.
Excellent stuff. Well, we look forward to seeing all of that coming out in the coming days. We'll put some links on some of our communications along with the recordings to those things as well. Antonio,
I have one more thing.
Yeah, please, Ricardo.
Next week, we should make a relevant announcement on the AIPM, on the expansion of the AIPM. I cannot disclose yet because it's not signed yet, but when it's signed, we will announce, and we plan, if everything goes well, to announce by next week.
Okay, so watch this space. Big announcement coming on the AI course. Those of you who are interested in that course, you can find us on provek.co.uk. We have that one running continually, both corporately, so we can come to corporate organizations and train it, as well as if you're an individual or somebody who wants to go to a public course, we have those available too. I'd like to thank everyone for their attendance today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be sending out the recording. Please send us some questions. We can get those over to Antonio and to Ricardo. Thanks again for all of your time. Greatly appreciated. Take care.
Thank you very much. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Antonio.
Bye, Antonio. Bye.
Bye, Ricardo.